Hi, welcome to my channel Sihara Tech. Before I start this lesson, there are few things you should know. Do check out my video description at the end of this video, as I've shared a link to download the code which I'll cover in this video, along with all the useful resource links, which you can read yourself for details. So I insist to check out those links, as those will be really helpful for you guys to practice and learn Swift language. If you still need any assistance, then post your question in the comment section, and I'll be happy to answer it for you. Okay, first you need to understand the reason for using variables and constants, and then I'll explain what those are so you can understand those better. Let me explain with a journal example. Suppose if you have been offered by someone to take as many jelly beans as you can, free of cost without paying anything, then the first thing you will do is to use a container so you can hold as many as possible. Either you will use your hand, which is not ideal of course in this situation, or you will try to find a big jar. Now consider this container or a jar a variable, which you will use to store some data or information to be referenced and manipulated while programming anything. They also provide a way of labeling data with a descriptive name, so our programs can be understood more clearly by the reader and ourselves as well. And variables and constants are declared temporarily in the computer's memory, which means they can be used as per the scope we define. Afterwards, those are removed automatically for memory management. The second point which I want to highlight from the same example is, you can use small or big size jar depending on how many jelly beans you want to store. Same concept applies on variables as based on the size of the data. You use different types of variables so those can hold larger or smaller values. Now what is the difference between variables and constants? Information or data stored in a variable can be changed at any point of time in future. Hence those are called variables, as the data may vary depending on the nature of the task or result. But while using constant, data is defined once, and we cannot change it afterwards. This is the main difference you need to memorize, so you can write your code accordingly. How do you declare variables and constants while using Swift language? As I mentioned in my previous video, you can either use Xcode, which is an Apple IDE for coding, and I'll be using Xcode Playground for all my lectures. Just open Xcode from the taskbar and select the first option from the pop-up dialog. Once you click it, then you'll be asked to select a template. For now, we'll select a blank template. Name your file and select a location. And your template is ready to use. If you want to know how to download Xcode, please check out my another video for details. If you don't have any Mac computer, then you can use an online platform from tutorialspoint as well, which is enough to practice Swift language. The interface will be presented with two parts. Left hand side you will use to write your code, and the right hand side, which is basically a console area, which will show all the outputs of your program when you press execute link from the top left corner. I've shared the link in the video description as well. In order to declare a constant in Swift language, you have to use let keyword first. Then you have to name that constant so that you can call it anywhere by its name within your program. Once you name it, then you have to assign a value which you want this constant to hold by using equal operator. For example, if you need a constant which will hold maximum number of login attempts value, which is suppose 5, then you can declare it like let maximum number of login attempts equal to 5. Or if you have a case where you want to hold a generic greeting message which will be shown once user is logged in, then you can write it as let welcome message, which is the constant name I'll be using, equal to welcome to Sihara Tech suppose. Now you may have noticed that I have used double quote for the textual data, but I didn't use it for numeric value. The reason for that is, language restricts us to define a string with a double quote and a numeric value without it, so it can differentiate different types of values automatically and define the variables and constant accordingly. Same way, you can declare a variable with a var keyword. Let me write those for you with a different name. The second point which you should know, that there are no spaces you can use while naming your constant or variable. And if I add a space, then the language compiler is giving me an error because I haven't followed the rules to declare a variable or constant. So do write it as a single word without a space. Now it can be confusing if you have a long name, like maximum number of login attempts. The best way is to write the way I have written, which is an industry standard and called camel case, where the first word has all small letters and all the other remaining words starts with a capital letter, so it can be easily readable by anyone. Whenever you declare a constant or variable, you can see the value on the right hand side if you hit execute playground icon. Now let's call each with their name by using print statement, which will print out the data in the console area, so we can see which value each variable and constant is holding. Write print keyword with parentheses, and within these parentheses, write the constant or variable name. Now press execute playground. As you can see, value is printed in the console. Let's try to change the value of the constant or variable and see what happens. I'm gonna assign maximum number of login attempts a new value from 5 to 10. As you can see this red symbol on this line, which is indicating an error that constant value can only be initialized once and we cannot change it afterwards. If I try to assign a new value to a variable we declared, like login attempt, and use print statement, we are getting the new value in the console. As you can see, we cannot change the value of the constant, but we can change the value of the variable. So while writing your code, you need to think when to use constant or variables, so you can manipulate the value when required and when not to. For you guys, let me give you a short assignment. Try to assign different types of values in a constant and variable like true, false, and fraction values. Print out those constant and variables in the console and see what happens. In the next video, we'll cover different data types and how we can restrict a constant and variable to hold a specific type of data. So see you guys in the next video. If you like my video, please hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please hit the subscribe button and bell icon so you can get notified for every video I'll be sharing in future. Thanks for watching.